Have you ever wanted to reference a movie, book, a famous person in a conversation, but in that moment it slips your mind and you're like, ugh, this is frustrating. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come back to me. And it does. When I was a 30-pound overweight personal trainer secretly struggling, I used to close out every weekend asking myself, why can't I stick with it over the weekend? What is wrong with me? And guess what? My brain found endless reasons to prove I was lazy, inconsistent, and destined to fail. I have some fatal flaw. It wasn't until I changed the questions that I was asking that my life started to change. What if the only thing keeping you stuck is the quality of the questions you're asking yourself? It's almost too easy to be effective, but it is, my friends. It is. Your subconscious mind is like Google. When you ask yourself a question, your subconscious immediately starts searching for answers, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. Because you know when that movie title comes back? When you're in the shower, or when you're doing dishes, when you're just not paying attention, right? And you also know from my episode on hacking your brain, if you listen to that the reticular activating system is a part of your brain that acts like a filter. And when you ask a question, your reticular activating system tunes your attention to information, opportunities, and people that align with that question. Then there's the element of what seems like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you ask disempowering questions like, why am I always messing this up? Your brain will subconsciously look for evidence that you are a failure. And that's where the identity piece comes in. I can't tell you how many women I speak to that so badly want to lose weight, look fit, keep it off so they could enjoy their life and have more confidence. But deep down, they don't really think they can because they have taught themselves that it's not possible for them. When we're talking about the program and if it's a right fit for them, it's most often not a question of, does this work? It's more of, will this work for me because I'm actually the exception? I am more broken than anyone. Your brain loves to close loops. Isn't it so gratifying when you check something off your list? Unanswered questions create tension that your mind naturally wants to resolve. This is why the questions you ask stick with you and shape your focus, your beliefs, and your decisions. Can you imagine if you really honed in on this skill of flipping the question? Let's take my last example. Why am I always messing this up? Is better off as, what's the lesson I have to learn here to move on? And your brain will hunt for growth instead. There's a saying, I think it's Tony Robbins, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of the questions you ask. No longer asking low-level, fixed mindset, disempowering questions, and instead doubling down on empowering higher-level questions will equal a higher-level you. You will get better outcomes. When I went on a journey of understanding my brain and human nature, I can't even tell you how gratifying it was to know I make sense. And friend, you make sense too. When I'm coaching clients now, often my answer is actually, you're asking the wrong question. Isn't this exciting? I was excited to talk about it because you can implement and benefit from this immediately. Not only will it change your thoughts, but over time it will change your beliefs. And I really have to stress that your thoughts are so much more powerful than you are aware of because they are the precursor to feelings. And feelings really drive behavior. People only do things because they either feel like it or they have conditioned themselves to believe it is who they are. They have no choice. I didn't feel like working out earlier today, but it is who I am. It's just what I do. There was no decision to be made. Right now, if you're not doing something you know would be good for you, it's because you either don't believe it's who you are or you're not making yourself feel like it. So don't you think it would be good to learn how to make yourself feel like it? When you ask higher level questions, you train your brain to focus on solutions, not problems. You also expand your creativity and your problem solving abilities. Hello, this is helpful for all of your life. You build resilience because you're focused on growth, not self-judgment, not shutting yourself down. You also shift your emotional state from powerless to empowered. Let's say you've been asking yourself, why can't I stay consistent with my workouts? Your brain will immediately start finding reasons why, and they will come to you. Because I'm lazy, because I always fall off, because I don't have enough time. You are strengthening an excuse through your question. Because everybody's busy, you are not the exception. But what if you flipped it to, how can I make my workouts so enjoyable I look forward to them? Suddenly your brain starts searching for fun workouts or how you can get better at the skills, because people naturally enjoy things that they're good at, or maybe quicker options or accountability that makes consistency feel more natural and not so forced. Imagine you've been asking yourself, why do I always self-sabotage? I'm sure you're not surprised that this question reinforces the identity that you are not on your side. You cannot be trusted. That doesn't feel good. But asking, what does the healthiest version of me choose in this moment, instantly shifts you into an identity-based decision maker. Your brain starts thinking like a healthy, confident person. And when you repeatedly ask questions that reinforce that identity, your behaviors naturally start to align. So let me give you a couple examples. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? Try asking, what is this teaching me? Or what is this preparing me for? Or how is this working for me? This shifts you from a victim to an empowered learner and a leader, because ultimately you are a leader. You lead yourself, you lead your family. You have to step into that. Over time, a small mental pivot like this builds resilience and emotional flexibility, both key to lasting health transformations. So let's get super tactical here. I want to give you some questions to start asking. Get out your pen and write them down. Or if you're anything like me, open up your notes app on your phone. So here are some examples. What about this challenge is going to work for me in the long run? What's one thing I can do right now to move forward? How can I see this from a new, empowered perspective? What am I most grateful for in this moment? How can I be more aware of God's presence and God's goodness in my life? Who can I learn from that's already solved this problem? What if this is happening for me instead of to me? How can I make this fun or exciting? How can I be more curious? How can I be more compassionate with myself? What's the next best step that I can take today? A belief that I have built over time is that the solution is already within me. For one, I have the guidance of the helper. I'm using quotations, aka the Holy Spirit. But our brains are also unbelievable resources. They are search engines that science has shown us we do not use the majority of. We need to start harnessing its power in our favor. There's this famous Henry Ford quote, "Thinking is the hardest work there is," which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. Have you ever stopped to think about the questions you ask yourself every day? This is your invitation to take some inventory. Because here's the thing, your brain is always listening, and the questions you ask, they become the instructions you give your subconscious. So if you're asking small, disempowering questions, you're going to get small, disempowering answers. Here's my challenge to you this week. Become hyper aware of the questions you're asking yourself. Are they elevating you or shrinking you? Ask better questions, and not only will you get better answers, you will get better outcomes. If this episode sparked something for you, I'd love to hear about it. DM me your favorite takeaway. And remember, the next level for your fitness and health is just one better question away. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Send this to a friend so you can keep each other accountable. See you next time.